takes a long time to load.
Yeah.
So I do believe that one thing that you can do, since you're already there, we would put ourselves in the same airport, at the same gate, in the same airplane. You would turn multiplayer off, and I think AI traffic off, or whatever that option is. So I can tell you in a minute when I get in there. I don't know if we have to give ourselves the same livery and flight number. I don't think so. I mean, if we have a different livery, your plane will just look different than it does to me.
Yeah, I actually did the. I downloaded your Ferrari.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you actually turn off multiplayer? I've never.
Still loading. Okay. So make sure you pick the fly-by-wire simulation A320, because it is like a separate airplane. But I guess if you've got the Ferrari livery, you'll see that.
A320neo.
The fly-by-wire simulations one.
Yeah.
Like it should show up as a separate airplane.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It actually says A3.
NX.
Oh, it does say Neo. Then it says Leap.
Actually. Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yep. Customization. None of that stuff really matters. Vancouver. It's under flight conditions where you go set multiplayer to off, AI air traffic to off. And we can do live weather and live time, because it's still early enough and the weather outside is good.
Okay.
And let's pick, I don't know, gate 42?
You're Vancouver International, correct?
Yeah, CYVR.
CYVR. So does departure. You said gate 42?
Yeah. And that should be all we need.
Why are the gates never in an order?
I don't. Yeah, that's a little unfair of me. I just picked one like at random on the map itself.
Oh, that's right. Ramp. Oh, jeez. Well, these are all ramps. It's not even in the drop-down list.
So it was on the sort of the left-hand side on one of the like S's of all the various gates you can pick from if you zoom in on it.
Gate 91, 72. I guess I'm insane. You said 4-2, right?
Yeah.
Would it be on the... Which runway would it be closest to?
Actually, I wonder. Oops.
I see gate 68.
Did I just? Oh yeah. Hold on. I accidentally joined the Discord channel on my other computer, which booted me out on this one.
Guess I can bring up your stream and see which one you're looking at.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think 4Flight has stats. Of course, there's an update now.
I'm in there. Oh, yay!
I don't know if you're looking at the stream. I can show you on 4Flight where. Actually, that's not going to be accurate, is it?
Because I have to. I'm picking from
There, now it's accurate.
From the map.
Yeah.
Screen here.
So. It's kind of on the left-hand side, middle-ish, on the west side of it.
I don't think that is an option on here. Like inside the sim? Did you pick it from inside the sim? Or?
Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
Should I go back? We can pick a different one.
I'm trying to see where the loop is, like, because obviously it doesn't show you the
Yeah, let me just go
call it in here.
back out. Oh,
So
you said
there's
hi in
that
the
one.
chat.
Yeah. Like I'm seeing 67, 68, but no 42.
Huh.
And even in the drop down list at the top, it's not giving me a gate 42.
Well, really? But wait, are you?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got.
Your map's overlaying where you're at now.
Oh,
Can you
sorry.
move the map real quick?
You don't have these gates in the drop down?
Okay, so
You're looking at the right airport, right?
CYVR Vancouver International.
Yeah,
Vancouver. Yeah.
I mean, I do have custom scenery for it, but it shouldn't be. I don't think it's any different. Maybe it is.
I say you have way more on there than I do.
Okay, maybe it is then.
Yeah. I have a gate. Like, should we pick large, small, medium?
Medium or higher. Do you have? Let's see. Do you have these at the top? You have like gate 66. That's in the very top left corner, kind of. Like, there's got to be some overlap between the ones you have and the ones I have. I'm sure.
My first one in that line is 27. So if you go to your gate, so scroll to your right a little. Like, go to your right a little. Of course, your stream's a couple seconds behind.
Yeah.
But like 27 is the first one I have in that list.
From the left-hand side, or
different? No, like in that line that you're on right now, I'm in the same line.
yeah.
And mine starts at 27, 26, 25, 24.
But do you think it's the same line and it's just a different number? Like, is your 26 the same as my 66?
It looks like you have a couple extra than I do, for sure. That's insane. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's this. Sorry, it's the custom scenery. We could flip it around. We could go to Calgary instead. Let's do that. Let's go to Charlie, Yankee, Yankee, Charlie. Because I don't have anything custom here.
Oh, okay. Mine looks identical to yours.
Okay, well that's good.
Yeah. You had a lot more on that one than I did. And it obviously looks like it maybe renamed some of the numbers, but like in that one row where you were picking your gate, I think you maybe had like 4 or 5 extra just in that line.
Yeah, I assume that the standard one is just not. Thanks. The standard one is just not complete enough.
Yeah.
So let's see. Why don't we take those are parking? Where do we have the gates? How about gate 2? What is that? What size? No, that's small. We don't want small. We want. I guess we can have. Gate heavy. I just saw a gate heavy. Am I just imagining that? I guess I'm just imagining that.
Ramp, GA large.
Those are all general aviation ramps.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, we'll take a small gate then. Screw it. I don't know. Gate 2?
2.
Does that sound okay?
Gotcha. Yep.
Alright, well, let's do that. Still live weather and live time.
Weather. Okay, so hitting fly.
Yep. These Canadian airports have really weird stars and departures and arrivals. Like, it's very strange. I don't know why that is.
I was watching a guy talking about SIDS and stars in Canada, and it's just the way, like, it seems like it's weird, but I guess it makes a lot more sense than what everybody else does, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, that's kind of what they were saying, or maybe it was one of the newer airports is changing to be more like something else, and which will kind of fix all that. So a lot of stuff will be changing. I can't remember, but I remember him actually talking specifically about some of the airports in Canada.
Interesting. Well, we certainly have shittier weather here. Okay, so let's see. What do we do next? Let me just launch my FIU PC7.
Holy cow, your computer's got a lot on it. Yeah, because I was like, I hope this all works, because when I sit in this plane and you're gonna say click this, I'm gonna be like, huh? Because I don't fly these.
Yeah, but that's fine. That's the
yeah.
There's actually it's easy to fly once you figure it out. But I thought this one would be well supported, and it has enough buttons where there's actually stuff you can push, and it's not just like, you know, flaps please, and then that's it for the rest of the flight.
Right.
Okay, so that's on. So I guess we can now launch. Of course, it doesn't. It didn't actually create a shortcut, but thankfully we know where it is.
Click ready to fly. I do, right?
Yeah, you can do that. I'm in the cockpit. App.installer.exe. Wait, but there's not. I think that's only part of it. Shortcut creator. Okay. I guess I created a shortcut on my desktop. Oh, I already had this open? Never mind.
Let me pause for a second. I'm gonna mute real quick and make sure I go get my controller.
Yeah, okay.
Couldn't remember where I put it, and I guess I just left it outside my door.
Okay, I just DM'd you a session ID, which I suspect you just put in the connection thing there and then connect to it. Okay, I see you. And I can give control. Do we have to like toggle control back and forth for these things? I don't know.
It'd be kind of nice if I changed Steam.
After connection, you're now ready. Give control to give... Oh, I can bind a button to that. Okay. Pretty sure I checked that streamer mode, but it still shows the session ID on the actual, like, YourControls app, which seems like the one thing the streamer thing shouldn't do.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I can move it off. I can move that off my screen. Okay, just so that I can actually bring this back on the stream. All right. So you're sitting in a cockpit, and I'm sitting in a cockpit.
Yes.
So
We're both on the left side as well.
yeah, do you want to move yourself over to the right side, or do you want to stay on the left side?
Well, I'll move on.
I think I have a shortcut to move into a co-pilot seat. But I'm curious. I'm going to do something in the aircraft, and then we can see if you can see that.
Okay.
And by do something, I mean get my checklist, because I don't know what to do.
All right, I'm gonna look about moving myself here because I don't have a quick key.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna... Do you hear anything?
Not yet. But I'm in my... So we get out of there.
Oh, you're in the menu?
Yeah, I'm kind of like watching the control panel that you're...
Yeah, I'm looking at the lower control panel, which is... I mean, there's two. It's not the one with all the millions of voltage buttons, but the one below that with all the knobs and things. And all I've done so far is I've turned on battery 1 and 2, so that both of them now show a voltage, like 27.4 volt.
I got a 27.3 and a 27.8.
Okay. I'm going to turn external power on.
But I haven't touched anything.
Yeah.
Oh, stuff is turning on.
Okay. So we're on external power now. And I'm going to flip on the ADIRs in the top left. You can see those knobs moving.
Yes, I do. This is creepy.
Oxygen crew supply button, which is on the left-hand side. It's currently got a white off light on.
Yeah.
That should go away.
Yep.
And arm emergency light switch. I have a bug in that somehow.
Yeah, so I mean, I see obviously all their switches and stuff, but like obviously the battery isn't 100% accurate, like on your battery voltage.
Yeah, mine's now
27.2. Yeah, on the left, but BAT2 is I'm off by 5.5.
Yeah. I think what it's... my understanding of this app is that it just basically registers all the events and then just passes them over to you and executes them there.
Yeah.
Which probably doesn't always go perfectly with, like, numbers like the battery voltage and stuff. Beacon? Nav lights. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the regular view. And I don't know if those screens are bright enough for you. Do they change brightness when I change it? I would be impressed if they did.
Can you lower them? Because yes, they do.
Okay. And then there's also these
Self-testing.
floodlights here.
Oh yeah. Although I think you may. Oh, okay. Everything's popping by. It went into self-test there for a second.
Yeah, it does that. If you turn the lights all the way off, it turns like the displays off, and then it does like a self-test again.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Okay. If I walk you through clicking some stuff, let's see that. So if we go back to the lower panel, which is really the top, panel that we were looking at before. Look for the APU master switch and turn it on. It's at the bottom middle. Not the very bottom, but like the master SW switch.
Okay, press it.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, it's on.
Now, if we go back down to the regular screens, like the eCam display, which is in the center console, the bottom of the two screens, should have the APU display on it.
Yes.
And it says flap open.
Correct.
Here's what I'm curious about. If I change that, does the screen change for you?
Yeah, it just changed right when you said when I changed that.
Okay. That's cool.
And it's back to APU.
Yeah. All right, so flap is open, which means you can go back to that top, and underneath the switch you just hit is the start button for the APU. You can hit that.
I did hit it. It dinged.
It did ding, didn't it?
Yeah.
Why did it just ding? Let me try. Interesting. Works when I did it.
So I haven't seen any changes.
Is it
the
still
light is not on?
Okay, so if you click it again, will the light come on?
No, it's like seems to be like dead.
Your batteries are on, your external power is on, master switch is on. If you look at the eCam, go ahead.
I was going to say, can you change that screen again real quick just to see if we're still talking to each other? Mine is, oh, okay, it just changed.
Yeah.
So that's still working.
But is the N percentage on this APU screen, like the first gauge, what is that at?
0.
Okay, yeah, so yours isn't starting because mine's at 100. And the upper screen above that, it's got seat belts, no smoking on the left, and then on the right probably has park and brake, TCAS standby. And I assume on your end it does not say APU avail.
Mine actually says APU auto shutdown, master switch off.
Oh, is your master switch off?
It actually says on.
Yes, it should. Try turning it off. That turned it off on my end.
It did.
Yeah. And the APU is shutting down, which is fine. Can you turn the APU master switch on again?
Yep.
And then hit the start button?
It went on this time.
Okay.
There, it dinged and shut off.
Yeah, same here. I didn't hear the bing, but it turned on for a second and then it went off. Okay, well, that's weird. I don't think we need... I'm just checking. Am I forgetting something? I don't think so. All right. Well, we don't actually need the APU because we have external ground power. I don't think we do, anyways. I'm going to... I just changed the altimeter to 2987. Did that update for you on the like the dash display?
2987, yes.
Okay. So, let's look at the MCDU then, which is to the bottom left of that eCam. I want to see if I can get, so we should be able to load in the same flight plan. The one thing that you're going to have to do on your end, I think, did the screen just change for you?
No. Well, yeah, yes. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yep, yeah, it's flipping.
I'm trying to remember where it is.
See, loading the flight plane, if this is all working, shouldn't it load into mine if you're loading?
Yes, what we have to do on yours though is we have to set your SimBrief name to my username.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to remember where that is done. It's got to be in, oh, options, right? Options realism. This is new, this keyboard input. Haven't tried it yet. AOC, SimBrief. Okay. Do you see, what, are you looking at the username pilot ID field now?
Yes, I am.
Does yours have a value for that?
It does not. It is blank right now.
Okay, so you want to enter, and you do that by just typing it into the field at the bottom, 360140. That's funny, I can see you typing. And then click, I guess, where it's got the SimBrief, like the second button on the left. It should put it up there as a teal number value.
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
So now let me go and see if I can load this flight plan in what?
I guess I could just kind of move my camera over. I'm sitting here looking for a button to move me over to the other side.
Oh no, just
push the right arrow.
Yeah, like, whatever that. Yep.
Yeah. I didn't say I was smart, Chuck.
Yeah, and you even have your own MCDU unit on the right. They're the same.
Yeah,
like they're totally synced. Do you see the departure CYYC and destination CYVR in there now? Like, do we have some green and teal numbers on the screen?
Yes. Correct.
Okay, so I think that works fine then. Let's not worry about weather. Let's go to set our performance and weights. And did your stuff change from orange to a bunch of teal fields?
Yes.
Cool. So that means we have a flight plan loaded in. We've got our weights set. So if I go to flight plan now, we should have Calgary to Simta, Binbo, Booth, and then Vancouver.
Correct. Read back correct.
Sweet. All right. So then the last thing on the performance screen, we can just put in the... where's the clear button? Clear out all this crap down there. There we go. I can just... Why is it saying format error? Interesting. This is supposed to just... Oh, right. Okay. Of course. Flaps 1. That's, I think, what we need. There we go. Now I can put in the V speeds. So we will rotate at 132 knots. Flaps retracted at 148. And let's see. Does changing the range change it for you on the radar, just on the navigation display? I would expect. Oh, actually,
23 now.
yeah, 2030. But that's only the one on the left, right? Because the screen on the right side is controlled separately. Like, you have your own range and mode knobs. Try changing those.
Okay, that is.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I know this is not really doing much, but this is really neat. Actually, it's pretty cool. So, yeah, I can.
And then you can change your. If you change the mode to plan, you can get like an overview of the overall flight plan.
Right.
So.
Your buttons are all clicking. Mine's all clicking.
Okay. So the other thing, since we don't have to deal with ATC, I'm just gonna have a quick look at this departure chart and see what we should be climbing up to. I don't think it really cares. No, there's like no constraints or anything. So, what is our cruise altitude going to be anyways? Let's check some brief. Probably 36,000. Okay. So I'm just going to put 10,000 feet on the altitude. Did you see that change? It should have changed anyway. And the rest is all...
Are you looking in the middle?
Yeah, so all the autopilot stuff is...
Yeah, right, dead center, right? Heading,
yeah.
Speed, heading, latitude. I still have 5,000 feet.
You still have 5,000 feet?
Correct.
Oh, crap. Interesting.
Can this change by thousands and hundreds? Is that what
yes.
I'm reading there?
And I've actually built that into other airplanes now just using my controls, where I just set a local variable and just swap back and forth between whether I increment in hundreds or thousands. It's a lifesaver.
What's theirs? Is it a press that changes it, or
on this one?
Yeah.
It's this. Yeah, it's a left click on the when you hover over it. Oh, see, now it went to 5,000. Sync mine to yours. Okay, why don't you set it to 10,000? There we go.
Okay. Oh, I see the click. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was... Gray is changing it. The black is what's flipping. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I was just saying what it was flipping that.
Yeah. So, so 10,000, that little circle next to the fourth zero means it's in managed mode. Same with speed and heading. Like, we want that to be basically controlled by the aircraft. Heading in managed mode basically just means we're in nav mode. Speed means that the autopilot is going to do all the speed stuff, which is super convenient in this airplane. Okay. I'm just having a look around outside real quick because we don't have an APU, so I think we can still... I'm going to see if I can get us pushed back. And I'm curious, because this would be the first time that the aircraft should move on both our screens, ideally. I'm thinking. Because we've done our before start checklist, we've done our FMS setup. I guess the other thing we can do, I can lock the cockpit doors. Actually, you lock it. It's in the very back of the center console. There's a 3-stage cockpit door switch that you want to throw towards the back of the aircraft to the lock position.
Oh, I didn't mean to do that.
Oh, the rudder trim? Was that you?
Yeah. Yeah. Is that back all the way?
Yeah, it's in the right direction. It's just, there it is.
There we go.
I'm going to set the predictive wind shear to auto. Okay, this is where we'd usually turn the APU bleed on, but we have no APU. I'm going to turn it on anyways, but I don't think that's really going to do anything.
My mouse on my keyboard is starting, or my mouse on my keyboard. My mouse for looking around right now is like completely going crazy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there we go. I was like in some weird locked.
Huh.
in some way.
I do know that if you click on the... Oh, no, I didn't. We didn't turn that on, so never mind. I'm going to turn the fuel pumps on. So if you look at the overhead panel again, there's 6 fuel pumps that all have a white off button right now, off light. I'm going to...
Yeah.
They're all on, so... Last thing...
Mine are all off still.
Does you still see the off light, or the lights are off?
The lights are off.
Yeah,
Okay,
so...
yours are off. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's weird. They have... Apparently, Airbus has this mentality where dark is good. Anywhere that there is a light, something's not normal. Which is actually... It actually kind of makes sense when you think about it. Like... Especially if you're doing long flights, you want things to be dark. But yeah, believe me, that at first I was like, I'm clicking on these things, nothing ever comes on.
Yeah. Well, that's the weird thing is they have blue things that say on, and when it's lit up, I'm thinking that they're on.
Yes.
And those pumps actually have things that say off.
Mm-hmm.
But you're turning them on.
But even those lights that currently say on, so for the external power and the APU, those need to be off by the time we actually fly. Like, by the time we fly, everything except, I guess, for the battery voltage is going to be dark up here.
Gotcha. Huh.
Okay, so the last thing is the engine ignition switch, which is down by the throttles. There's like an engine 1 and engine 2 switch, and in between that is an ignition switch, which I've just turned to ignition, and I'm gonna try and see if I can get us pushed back.
Cockpit to ground.
Go ahead, flight deck.
We will be ready shortly.
Roger.
Do you see the tug moving on the left? I don't know if that would be... I would suspect that... I don't know if that's synced that well.
I gotta move over to your window. He's not moving now.
Okay.
I'm assuming if the plane starts to move, that's probably might be as good as you get.
Yeah, I think so too. It would be amazing if it could actually model like the outside things, but I don't know how it would do that. This would be a good time to figure out how we would taxi, though. So I'm going to lean on you for this one. Oh no, you don't have your Navigraph charts. Damn it.
How do I move forward? Like, now I'm stuck behind my seat.
I think F is the default to just reset the camera on it, but
it is. Thank you.
There's also a way to translate yourself forward, but I don't know what that is off the top of my head.
I was trying like Alt or Shift, like arrow. It's Alt arrow key. I got you. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so actually that's good. So since I have the chart, I'll navigate us, and you're gonna taxi us once I figure out how we... The taxiing works the same in this plane as any other one. You just go a little bit slower in this one. The good thing is that our runway 17 right is... We're very close to it. We don't have to taxi very far. So I think we're going to push back with a tail to the east, and then we'll taxi via Hotel Charlie. That's all we need to do. So let's see.
Cockpit to ground.
Go ahead, flight deck.
We are ready for pushback and engine start.
Roger. Release the parking brakes, please.
Because again, I'm on controller, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, okay, Y is braking, I think. Y and B turns on and off my parking brake.
Well, so this is interesting, because it says that I guess the giving of control is only for the aircraft, because you were able to flip switches just fine without me giving... So I guess the control is actually for the flight controls. Can you release the parking brake?
that should have released.
Okay, it didn't do anything on my end, but that's not surprising because their parking brake is custom. Is it in the off position on your screen? Like the parking brake is... It is, eh?
Let me...
Parking brakes released.
click
Pushing
it,
back.
See if it changed. Did it change?
No, I just did it myself, but we're moving now.
Okay. Yes, we are.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so when you're saying control, like you said, control is
You're
basically...
cleared behind it. You start your engines at your
my
discretion.
controls, you know, all that
Yeah.
fun stuff, like, you know. Everything just shut off on me.
The game?
The entire plane.
Really?
Yeah, my plane is, like, everything's off.
But it's still moving?
No noise or anything. It's still moving. Can you go internal to the cockpit? And
Oh
see if
yeah, it's
your
off for
stuff's
me
still
too.
Pushback complete.
I
Set
didn't
parking
press
brakes, please.
on? I promise.
No, I think that was me then.
Parking brake set.
Roger. Okay, the tow bar is disconnected and the
You know
equipment's
what?
clear. We will see you on the right with the pin.
I think
Thanks, and
that
you can
happened
disconnect and go to
exactly
hand
as I
signals.
tried to
Thanks.
start an
Have a
engine.
good flight. See you later.
Oh. Okay.
Let's see what happened. Oh, you know what happened? Okay, this makes
yeah,
perfect sense.
Okay.
We
I'll
were
say
on
the
external
engine-
power.
The engine switches are different.
The engine's different than before. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you know the engine 1, engine 2. Yep, now engine 2's down. Engine 2 was up, like you were starting engine 2.
Yeah.
Do you start engine 2 first, or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Is it because we disconnected from the pushback, which was our
no, it's
battery power?
well, it's because we started moving and we were on external power, and then we started moving, which I guess is the sim version of you just walked away with your vacuum cleaner and unplugged it from the wall as you got far enough away.
Right.
we just yanked the power cord.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I can't even turn it on again.
I
It says unavailable. Let me see if I can start the APU. Just oh, that's not going to work, is it? We have no power. I have to see if I can get us. This is what I mean. If we get up in the air today, that'd be cool.
Yeah. It's funny. I tripped over the power cord, and look what I did.
Ground services. No, I don't want.
Worst case scenario, I think you can control E, which will start everything, but that would be the simulator skipping everything.
Yeah, I wonder if I
But
can.
think-
Wonder if I can trick it. I don't think I can. Oh.
Yeah, I'm still dark.
You are?
Yeah.
I have APU on my end now. This is a weird problem because the APU doesn't seem to sync.
Is your APU on or off? Because I just...
My APU master switch is a blue on, and the start button says avail, which means that the APU is available. So I have power again. I wonder.
Should I click my APU and see what it does?
Sure. That turned it off for me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I think what we'll have to do is we'll get the APU. Oh. Oh, wait, did you just click something again or no?
I just pressed APU to see if
Oh,
I
okay.
flipped it on.
I suspect
Seems
that
like
once
some are
I
in
get an
sync,
engine
but-
going,
Yeah.
I think once I get the engine running, that hopefully will just sync it across.
Right.
I just gotta wait for the APU to come back on.
And it's interesting because it seems like it's probably just like some information isn't making it a way to make its way over. I'm not dropping any packets.
No,
I have 0 packet loss, so
no, I think you're right. I think and I think the APU is custom modeled in this plane too.
okay.
So you know, there's probably some funkiness. The good thing is we are on batteries. Like I'm down to 26.9 volts, but it should be fine. And I think
So Yeah, go ahead.
I think once an engine is running, hopefully your plane will come back to life.
That'd be neat. So, I guess my question is the YourControls the thing that's doing this? Do you have to have the fly-by-wire, or for
No.
this to work? Okay,
No.
because I'm wondering if YourControls is really going against the standard, you know, whatever this plane is. What is it?
The 320. I think the
320.
the short answer is that I think it works more reliably with the default stock airplanes, because the stock airplanes use only standard events.
Correct.
And this one uses some standard, some custom.
Right.
And I think that's where the issue is, or comes into play.
Right.
All right, I've got APU. Let me just check. Yeah, I'm running off APU power, so I'm going to fuel pumps back on.
Have you dove into any of the custom modding and seeing what it's like what APIs and how to extend things for this stuff? Because I'm curious, like,
I think most of it is JavaScript. Most of the displays, like all the displays, are basically just web, like JavaScript web-based stuff. And then there's some variables on the flight modeling itself, but I don't know exactly how they insert custom variables. Like some of these use what they call LVARs, right? So there's LVARs and H events. So those are custom events, and that's probably the stuff that YourControls works with, but only if they know about it, right? Like they have I think that's what that XML, that YAML file we chose when we started.
Right.
That's got to have something to do with it.
Yeah, because I'm sitting there thinking, like, for no matter what panel they make and what buttons they flip and what they extend outside of the base plane, I'm sitting there thinking it still all has to tunnel down to the common, base properties of the simulator.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they can't just make up an autopilot, right? You know what I mean?
No.
Like, it still has to, you know what I mean? So it's like,
But like,
interesting. But then, yeah.
They did this thing in this one, they made custom brakes, which means that other apps that would look whether or not a brake is set would fail because it wasn't. Like the stock brake on-off variable basically didn't get set, even though the custom one was. Have you got any power yet on your side or no?
No.
Nothing.
Yeah, so they make a custom brake, but in the end, they have to tell the simulator my brakes are on. But what they're doing is they're not going through the standard braking process to where everything else is coming in. So I could see that. Okay, that makes it hard on.
And totally
like
custom planes,
this
like
controls type stuff, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Because they're like, well, yeah.
If it's not well documented, you don't have. I mean, there's some apps, even the software I use to control all my button panels and stuff. It can monitor what events are firing and what variables are changing, so you can kind of, I do a lot of stuff. If I want to make a button on my panel here do something in the plane, I'll have like the event monitor running, and I'll push the button with the mouse in the airplane, and I see what happens, and then I make the button on the panel do the same thing, and that works about 80% of the time.
Of course.
But yeah, like completely custom planes like that DC-6 is, like, I mean, this one is just a modification of the existing one, but the DC-6 is completely built from the ground up. So
you're doing a high-tech console log.
Yeah, basically.
Press this button. Well, it got logged.
Exactly.
Hey, welcome to programming, right?
Yep. Okay, so
I'm still quiet. Like, even the sound and everything's kind of.
Yeah, it's fully running here now, which is.
I can hear clicking.
Yeah, I just turned the APU off, but.
I'm wondering if the plane starts moving, if I'll start moving, or if I'm completely like.
We can try that easily enough.
Yeah.
moving now.
I am moving.
Just in an airplane that is completely off.
Yeah. And the parking brake's on.
Huh.
Well, now the parking brake's off. I see the rudder pedals even moving.
Yeah, so that all works. Just have no cockpit.
Yeah, I don't. And I wish there was an easy turn on and off, but I'm afraid, you know, obviously if I touch something, I'm pretty sure it's going to turn yours off.
Well, so here's the thing. Hey, Sean. Sean's in the chat. So I no longer need the APU. my dimension of this airplane doesn't require an APU anymore.
Okay.
So you're completely dead silent. You have voltages on the batteries, though?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So what actually turns on the control panel? Or what turns on the panel?
Well, it's usually the external power. Otherwise, it's the APU. But the APU actually takes a while to start up, and without the panels, you can't see if it's happening. Like, I had to push the buttons and just wait for a while. So, APU, master switch, and start are both dark for you, are they?
Yes, they're both off.
Okay. So, hit the master switch for the APU.
I think I hit it.
It should say on in blue.
Hold on a second. Actually, my buttons aren't actually pressing. Oh, that flipped. My master switch does not actually press. Like, it's not clickable.
See, you just turned it off when I turned it on.
Okay, so... But I can't turn it on.
I'm going to give you control. Maybe that makes a difference.
Okay.
Try again.
Nope. Nope, nothing.
Try the, whatever the quick...
So wonder if I disconnect and reconnect.
Yeah, you could try that too. Let me... Whoa.
I didn't do that.
Oh, I see.
just
Okay,
heard-
no, it's fine.
Okay.
For some,
I
I
heard
think...
that. I heard something shut off.
It didn't shut off. I think what was happening is that the engines were very high when you had control.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And then when I got it back, it went back to my throttle settings. So, yeah, why don't you disconnect? And, I mean, keep the airplane... I mean, I could actually walk you
disconnect
through.
from your control, and then I'm going to connect to the session and see if it syncs up.
Yeah, okay, that's a good idea.
Let me try that. Okay. And I'm going to connect.
Looks like it's sending a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. That's like...
If that doesn't work, I can walk you through starting the engine real quick, because it should work without...
Yeah, I'm still getting nothing.
And if I hit the APU master switch, it's still dark for you?
Yeah, it's still dark, but I heard you just click it.
Yeah.
And I bet you if I touch it now, it's going to turn off for you. So it's like mine is always in an off state.
Yeah, you can
or
only turn
mine's
that
in a
button off.
state off. Yeah, exactly. That's it. I wonder if I can hit the starter though, with yours being on.
Okay, yeah, so, well, yeah, your screens are all off. I mean, okay, I'm going to turn the master switch on. Yeah, try hitting the start switch now.
Okay. Nothing.
Nothing, it might take it a second for anything to actually happen, but it doesn't look like it. Nothing happened on my end.
Should we? I know you want to get in the air. Do we want to
No, I don't mind. We can
kinda
probably
call it
reset because
reset? Yeah.
the issue clearly was that. But I mean, we had the same issue. I think the key would be to try to get the engine started without moving first.
Right.
Yeah, let's go back to the main menu. Let's just reset.
Okay. Let me disconnect.
I think it might actually drop the server. Well, maybe not. Actually, I think the simulator running might be good enough.
Actually, I could do a flight restart. Or do you just want me to go back to main menu?
Just go back to the... Oh, I guess it's technically the same thing.
I'll go to main menu.
We're on gate 2, right? It's funny, I actually see you on the map. Like on the world map, which we didn't,
Yeah.
I don't think, last time. So gate 2, still on live weather and time, I guess.
Yeah. This was CYYC. 8-2 fly. Flight controls off, live. Alright. Well, we almost made it.
Well, I mean, being able to turn the airplane on is pretty critical. Like, everything
Well,
else...
the funny part was me moving. I'm sitting there wondering, like, man, what would happen if we took off? But it is interesting. I was almost thinking me disconnecting from the session and logging back into session, it would almost send, the sessions up to its current status. Like, and I was almost hoping it would just bring me right to where you were, but it doesn't look like it.
I don't
that way, which is.
I mean, if it follows the principle of I'm just going to send the same command from this machine to the other, then it makes sense that it couldn't possibly catch up, right?
Yeah, because it's not keeping a log, right? It's not
yeah.
keeping a... Okay.
Which is, I think,
I
why
am
they
in the
say
plane.
you should play same time, same weather, so that, like, technically all the external effects are identical. Okay, so you're in the plane. Let's go look at the top panel. I'm going to...
Do you want me
Yeah.
do you want me to connect? I'm okay.
Oh, yes, right.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good to connect.
I'm connected and I hear button presses.
Haven't clicked any just yet, but...
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I just turned the batteries on.
Yep.
And the external
actually-
power.
Yep. I wonder if my batteries weren't on. That was...
Maybe. I guess we didn't check that. I mean, that would certainly be a reason why the APU wouldn't be able to start, but... Okay, while this is all going, I'm going to really quickly run through the loading of the flight plan here.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, because it only takes a second. These V-speeds are not quite accurate, but it doesn't matter. I really just wanted the flight plan in there. Everything else, I need to do the...
CYYC. Is that Simpta?
Yep.
Binvo, Booth. See everything flipping.
Okay. It's funny. This thing actually usually takes like 7 minutes for essentially the GPS antennas to align, and until then you don't get a map. So
Now you're out. So you're flipping your altitude now, right? Because it did. Remember, I changed mine after you changed yours. Did it just drop?
Yep. It's at 8 now.
Okay.
Now back to 10.
It's at
Okay.
10.
Yeah, that's interesting because
I
it usually
remember.
loads in with 5,000, I think, as the default. So it must have taken whatever you had.
Well, I changed it to 10.
Oh,
I
did
went
you?
from
Okay.
5 to 10.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I knew that was my one thing I did last time. And I helped.
Let me just see. I got this button wrong, but okay. So seatbelts and stuff. Oh, all my buttons are backwards. It's okay. Okay, so we've got lights on now.
Yeah, so the only thing I'm different from your screen to mine is bat 1 and 2 on mine still say off.
The batteries still, when you hover over them, or does it?
The lights say off, but when I hover over them, it says turn battery master 2 on. So.
Oh yeah, go ahead and do that then.
I think it's gonna probably turn yours off.
We'll find out.
Okay. Nope. Mine are.
So when you hover over them now, it says to turn them off.
Turn them off. Yeah, correct.
You know what? I bet you it never actually properly turned on your batteries last time. That explains everything. In fact, if we look at the eCam electrical screen, you should see green everywhere except for the two Gen 1 and Gen 2s. Everything should be, you know, bat 1 should be green, 2, and it should be feeding from external power. Like if you follow the lines.
Yes, 115 volts, yeah.
Yep. And so when we turn the APU on, you can actually see, like, this is a visual way of seeing where you're getting the power from. So that explains a lot. If your batteries never turned on when I turned them on, you know, it couldn't have possibly started the APU once we went off external power. And that also explains why when I was able to start it, you couldn't because your batteries were off.
Right. Well, plus now I'm wondering if I do if the master switch and the start will actually work and light up as you press them now.
Yes, because last time you heard a ding when you hit the start button, I think, and that ding.
Correct.
I remember now because I've done this. You get that ding when there's no battery on. So let me see. Master switch on.
Yep, mine just lit up on.
Let me just wait for the flap to open on the APU screen. Okay, and APU start.
Mine just went on, which did not do it last time. So that makes sense. The batteries didn't seem to communicate.
Yeah.
And plus, like, my battery voltage and stuff are now equal to what yours are.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good, actually. This all makes a lot more sense. I don't mind that something like that happened because at least we know. This also means we can do a proper pushback because we'll be able to get the APU on, which is good. I'm just watching the electrical screen. Oh, actually, I should check. I should be watching the APU screen.
Yeah, my youngest is here watching, and I'm telling him, like, watch when he presses a button, it's going to light up on my screen.
You have the APU avail message now?
Yeah. APU avail. Where's?
On the eCam.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, you can see in the electrical screen, we're still pulling from external power. If you just stay looking at that, I'm going to disconnect external power.
Yep, went to APU.
There we go.
Generator.
And this is, now we're able to move and start the engines because we now have power from the APU. Sweet. Okay. You can lock the cockpit door.
All right. Why is this thing going crazy on me?
There we go. Okay.
I helped again.
Altimeter set to local, so 2987. FMS setup, we're going to call that good. Cockpit doors locked, predictive windshields on, APU bleed. Okay, let's do this. In the upper panel, there is an APU bleed button, which is in the same middle line as the other APU buttons, but just above it a bit.
Okay.
Can you turn that on? That's the other thing I always forget. I'm trying to start the engines. If you don't have the APU bleed on, the engines cannot start.
I've pressed it.
Okay. And the fuel pumps I already turned on, so they're already on. So at this point, I'm gonna call for
Cockpit to
pushback.
ground.
Go ahead, flight deck.
We will be ready shortly.
Roger.
Sean's not wrong about saying you can't crash if you don't leave the tarmac. Well, you could still run this into things and break it pretty badly.
That's true. So it is interesting now, kind of everything's syncing up almost, perfect.
Yeah,
now.
because they do say
With
on the
all- just
website
with
this is
those
fully
battery
supported.
buttons. Yeah.
We should have. I should have checked that, but
Yeah, before we, like, when we end this flight and before we, like, call it a night or whatever, I'd be interested just to do a restart flight and come back to the screen and see if I turn the batteries on first, what happens on your ends. If
is
they
it?
stay
It's
off or-
possible that we had the timing wrong, like where you weren't connected yet when I turned them on. You know what I mean? Like that, especially the second time. I don't think the first time that would have been the case, but we'll find out.
Yeah.
Cockpit to ground.
Go ahead, flight deck.
We are ready for pushback and engine start.
Roger. Release the parking brakes, please.
All right, release the parking brakes, please.
I have a heading map not available.
Oh, you do? Oh. So your map displays are still like red?
Yeah.
Go to the upper panel, and in the very top left there's a section called ADIRs, and there's 3 gray knobs. They should be centered onto the nav setting.
Okay, they're not. Oh wait. That's aft cabin for. Oh, that's. Okay, that's not what I want.
No, it's higher up and on the left-hand side. That's just a temperature.
Oh. Okay, so the difference on mine are they are look to be centered.
They're on nav setting.
Yeah. You have something in IR1 I do not have. It says on bat.
Well,
now.
mine was
ADIR is. Oh, now it's off bat.
my IR1 had a fault actually. It said fault. I'm not sure why.
And
You still don't have a map?
nope.
In the center, in the upper ECAM, so the center upper screen on the left-hand side, does it say anything in red? Anything about ADIRs or IR line or anything?
Center upper screen. IR in align 1 MN.
1 minute? Okay. This is okay. So you need it. 1 more minute, you'll get it. Those alignments, they usually take 7 minutes. There is a setting in the MCDU to set it to slightly less realistic, where it's like it takes 2 minutes instead of 7, which I set that on mine, but yours doesn't have that, so yours literally took 5 minutes longer to start, essentially.
Oh, there it is.
Yep.
Got it.
Okay.
I'm sorry for.
No worries.
I
No,
had no
that's
idea
good.
that was the thing.
I forgot about that too, because it's annoying for 7 minutes. I don't want it to be instant if it takes time, but 7 minutes is a long time.
Yeah.
Sean, the reason we're flying in a thunderstorm is because that's the best way to experience this for the first time. Oh, did you try releasing the parking brake, or did you not?
I can. Releasing now.
Okay, yeah, that doesn't seem to
Parking
sync.
brakes released.
Pushing back.
We should start moving now.
Yep. And the power is still on. Yay.
In fact, we should get an engine starting
You're
here.
cleared behind A. Start your engines at your discretion.
Yeah, I did see engine 2 toggle went up.
You hear the engine go. Boom.
Yep. Yeah.
Pushback complete.
love
Set
the-
parking brakes, please.
Parking
If
brake set.
if your
Roger.
parking
Okay,
brake
the
is
tow bar
not set,
disconnected and the equipment is clear. We will see you on the right.
you
with
should
the
set
pin.
it again.
Thanks, and you can disconnect and go to hand signals.
It is
Thanks.
set.
Have a
It
good
actually
flight.
just
See you
set
later.
itself back.
Because I set it on this end, so
Which is
Interesting.
Interesting. doesn't
Yeah.
it doesn't turn off.
Okay, so we have got, on the upper ECAM, you can see the right engine. Things are spinning up, and it should say avail at the top of that dial there in a moment. There was a click there. You can actually see on the electrical panel that generator 2 is now supplying power to DC2.
Yeah, DC2.
Yeah, and now I'm going to start up the engine number 1, the left engine.
Alright. Yeah, the avail was there, but now it is gone.
Yeah, it just shows up for a second.
Okay. This is when you're on there, then you're able to turn off your APU, right?
Correct.
When it's no longer powering anything?
Yep.
Gotcha.
In fact, turning it on in mid-flight is a really bad idea. I did that in the CRJ 700 once when the weather was really bad, and I think Sean was there, and I just couldn't get power. So I just started hitting switches and stuff, and then at one point I'm pretty sure I had the APU flap open, like all kinds of terrible things.
Yeah.
Like the
So
APU
Sean
is
can
this
come in
actual
chat,
little...
right?
He can, yeah.
In Discord? Yeah.
But I think he's watching on his phone, so I don't know if he can do chat and watch at the same time.
Gotcha. Alright.
That's the click.
Eric's flipped over.
So, go ahead and hit the APU, turn the APU bleed off,
Okay. Off.
and then the APU master switch off. I will turn the ignition back to normal, and we have 2 good engines. Do you want to hit the taxi lights, which are just next to the APU, the TO taxi, set nose light to taxi.
I'm looking. Nose to
There we go.
taxi. Now, the APU start, it still says available, and that's, I'm
Yeah.
assuming is okay.
And that will go away shortly. Because I think if we look at the APU page, actually, yeah, that will go away in a little bit. I don't know if it takes a little while for it to lose its power or whatever or something.
Power, yeah, lose its charge.
Yeah. But that should go, by the time we're ready to take off, that should be gone.
Gotcha.
Okay, taxi lights are on. Flaps 1, please. So, just move the flaps lever down 1.
Yep.
Did you do it?
Yes.
Oh, it did not do it on my end. Interesting.
Do you want me to move it back and then have you try?
Is it still in 1 for you?
Yes, it is.
Okay. What about now? Still?
Still in 1.
Okay. That doesn't seem to sync then. So I've just put it in 1 on my end as well. The spoilers, which is just on the left of that, is the speed brake. You will... I don't know how you do that with this, but you can... I think maybe if you click on it, it will pull the thing up and basically arm the ground spoilers.
Yes.
And looks like it... Oh,
And
that
it went
didn't...
down.
Oh. Can you pull it back up on your end?
Up.
Maybe that... Oh, you know what? I wonder if these are based on give control. I'm going to give you control. This might actually fall under the flight controls, not buttons anymore. Try changing the flaps back to 0 for a sec.
I flipped to 0.
Oh, okay. Didn't change for me. All right. I'll put them back to 1. I'll leave you with the control anyway. Actually, if you want to sit in the pilot seat, like in the normal seat, that makes it easier to taxi.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'll slide on over to the co-pilot seat.
Alright. So, parking brake.
Next to the upper ECAM, you'll see the 3 landing gear green lights, and below that are the auto brake settings with 3 buttons: low, medium, max. We want to set the auto brake to max. Cool, that worked. I will run the radio. I will turn on our TCAS, which is down on the pedestal to the right. I just set TCAS to TARA. And let's see. So if you look on the upper ECAM, you'll see in the bottom left panel, it says Takeoff Auto Brake. This is like a built-in checklist, kind of. It knows what we're currently doing. So Auto Brake Max, signs on, cabin check, we still have to do. Spoilers are armed, flaps for takeoff. Takeoff config test. Those page buttons just down below, there's one that says TO config and it says test takeoff config. When you hover over it, click on that.
I'm trying to look over here. Alright, I pressed it. Normal.
Yep, and so that basically passed it. If we had the flaps in a different position than we told the computer we would, for example, it would give us an error.
Gotcha.
We can also see now the APU is off, by the way, on the lower one. Like,
Yeah. Yep.
it just ran out, so we can switch this to something else. Cabin calls. This is on the upper panel on the left-hand side. The bottom, or second from the bottom row, it says calls, and there's like mech, all, and forward. I think you can just hit the forward button. This is,
Okay.
you know, this is our little letting the cabin crew know that we're about to take off. We're not yet, but okay, we've done some of this stuff before. I'm going to turn the terrain radar on both of these. I will switch my thing here to plan mode. You've got your own buttons on your side. Okay, now we're ready to taxi. We're going to taxi. If you look straight ahead, there's this this taxiway that goes off to about 1 o'clock, just off to the left. If you taxi slow enough, I can just tell you which ways to turn. All you got to do is release the parking brake and apply a little bit of power, and we should start moving.
Just trying to see if my power's inching up.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
I want to release the parking brake on my end, unless that's set it for you again.
It's not set.
Okay, good. Yeah, we're moving. So you want to basically take the one that's sort of at 1 o'clock there to the left-ish. And then it will be not the first right, but the second right. If we hit a runway, we've gone too far.
Just let me know if I'm going the right way here.
You're good. I'm looking on the Navigraph moving map. It's pretty cool.
Oh,
I don't
there,
usually
I got
get to
my,
do that.
I got my arrows now. It's telling me to take an immediate left.
Oh, no, it's probably thinking a different runway than we're actually taking. So you want not this right, but the one that we're coming up to. Yeah. Yeah, it's because it's giving you the guidance for the built-in ATC. Have a good night, Sean. So this right here. And is that a fucking roundabout?
That's what it did to me.
Looks like. We're gonna turn left here, and that should get us to the end of. This is our runway, so we can stop short here at the 17 right sign, and I'll walk you through what we're gonna do for the takeoff.
Now, I don't know if my throttle went too far.
Oh, into reverse, you
So
mean?
if I'm in it, yeah. If I did,
No, I think we're good.
okay. All right.
Oh, but the auto brake went off again. That's a known bug, though. That has nothing to do with this. Okay, everything is green. You can go ahead and get us lined up on the runway.
Yeah, it sounded like I went into, like, what is it called, beta, or like.
What are you flying and controlling with? Just the Xbox controller?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why like you see me wiggling really bad because I'm using left trigger, and of course.
Oh, for the rudder?
You can't slightly. Yeah, you can't slightly apply left
That's
trigger
right.
a little bit.
No, it's sort
So
of
it's
an
like-
all or nothing thing.
Yeah.
And then we'll just stop and hop on the brakes here when you're lined up. Okay, so the way this works, and this might actually be difficult. The throttle stuff might... Well, I can always take back control once we're in the air, because to take off, it's very simple. We go full throttle, and you should have on your display where the speed tape is on the left, right? You'll see the two numbers at the top, 131 and 126. So basically 131 is going to be our rotate speed.
Okay.
So really once we hit that, you just pull back until we get airborne. I'll see if I can do the gear, because that would normally be a co-pilot responsibility, so you can fly. And don't worry about course, we'll just fly runway heading. And it should engage auto throttle automatically. At some point it's going to yell at us because we're going to need to idle, pull the throttle back a little bit into a climb detent, which might be difficult to do with your controller. So
Right.
I might grab the control to pull it into that, we'll see. And then we'll basically just engage the autopilot and see what we get. There's literally a car on the runway on my screen right now. He's just casually driving across.
So full throttle holding brake when we hit full throttle release brake.
Actually, what I do, so if you look on the top ECAM, the upper part where the two engine dials are,
Right.
you notice that little teal circle?
Yeah.
That's what your throttle's currently set to. So what we typically do, as in, it's what I saw a pilot say on YouTube, is you keep your feet on the brakes, you move that little blue circle to 50%, so half throttle. You wait until the green needle hits that 50, then you go full throttle and feet off the brake.
Okay.
But I don't think any of that really matters, you know, for...
Is 550?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Well, yes, I think so. Like the number, yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think, I mean, you could literally just slam it forward and take your feet off the brake, and I think it would be fine. They do that because they want to make sure the engines are stable and there's no problems. Like, we have no failures turned on, so it's not going to go wrong. This engine's going to be fine. Yeah, let's just give it a shot. I've got the landing lights on and turn the taxi lights off. And I should probably also turn the strobes on, because we are on the runway after all. So, good from my end.
Alright, I'm climbing to 50. Hopefully you don't rudder us into... Alright.
And then just go full throttle and off the brake.
Man, that is a long way from what 75 or 90 or whatever the
Yeah.
resolution is for TVM.
But this gets there pretty quick. I love the sounds of this on the runway. The tut 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 tut.
Yeah.
It's cool. I can give you a call out too on the rotate, because I'm watching
Yeah,
it.
almost there. It's actually a blue marker there.
Yeah. So there we are. Rotate. There we go. I'm gonna try to go gear up. Gears up. Or coming up anyway. You can see on the flight director you want to keep it at about the center of the green cross, right? So we're climbing a little steep right now, but yeah, that's good.
I don't see. I can't tell a difference between green cross and.
I've disarmed the ground spoilers. So once you see that little green S on the speed tape, once we hit that, I'm going to see if I will go to flaps 0 I don't know what just happened to the autopilot. Let me see. I'm going to engage the autopilot here. Auto throttle. Actually, just the auto throttle for now, so it will manage that. See how it's flashing lever climb on the...
Yeah.
So you want to pull back a little bit on the throttle to what's the climb detent, which I don't know how you'd be able to tell that.
So on the climb, you're talking about the cross. Which cross were you talking about?
There's two green lines on your horizon there. One vertical, one horizontal. Sort of where they center is where it wants you to go.
See, I don't see a green line. That's why I must be looking in the wrong spot.
Okay, well let's see. So we've got auto throttle. Can I do anything to the throttle? I can. Okay. So I just put us in throttle climb. So now it's... Oh.
A little bouncy.
No, I don't know what happened. On my end, we're losing speed. Can you go full throttle for a sec?
Yep. I'm still in a climb as we're not leveling out, right?
Well, we did just blow through the 10,000.
Yeah.
What's the speed on your end?
160,
Yeah, we're way slow. We're way too slow for some reason. Let me see. I'm gonna...
I don't have a brake or something
Whoa.
on my end, do I? Whoa! Hold on. I have no idea what's happening.
I know what happened. I don't know why it happened like
Okay.
that. Well, no, actually, I don't know what's happening now. I take that back. Oh, maybe? Can I save this? I took control is what happened.
Okay.
Though I don't know exactly why what's currently happening is happening.
Okay.
Because we're just gonna...
Like,
Do I have engines? I have engines.
feels going back and forth.
Yeah, it's a little drunk.
Is there a call button for barf bags or?
Overspeed. Oh, yeah, we are overspeeding.
Yeah, now we're going 360. We
Yeah,
went
see,
from
I
like
don't-
1 something to 3 something.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that something got out of sync there. Because... I'm trying to get us out of this weaving thing.
Yeah.
Okay, we've stopped being totally drunk.
Yeah.
I feel like this is
leveled out.
not Toga LK. I don't know what that means. I also don't feel like we're actually going up the way that this is. Yeah, there's something really out of sync. There's no way we're going as fast as this is pretending we are.
Yeah.
See, I've managed to engage the autopilot.
I turned off master link. It's driving me crazy. I don't know if it's still on your end, but okay, I think I should have off on your end too.
There's...
I'm wondering if like some of those brakes and stuff that we set, I'm wondering if it like is still on my side or something like that. But I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like
Let's see.
Oh, my flaps are still at 1.
Oh, change those. I mean, I changed them. That might have had something to do with that. The flaps thing is definitely a problem.
Right. I just went to 0. Speed brake lever still pulled up though, right?
Yeah, that's fine. Well, pulled back as in, like, it should be all the way forward at 0%.
Yeah, but the little things popped up. Still.
Oh, you can pop that down too. That wouldn't have an impact. That's just the ground spoilers are armed for landing. You arm them when you take off in case something goes wrong and you have to, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything seems to be working out. Well, it looks like since autopilot's on.
Well, it's
trying to look at
beeping
your
less
screen.
now.
Can you? Yeah. Can you? Well. Do you still have the green crosshairs? Because I'm still kind of wondering where
Yeah.
that's at.
These right here in the center. You'll see that it's dead center right now because the autopilot is doing its thing. But this is your flight director.
I do not see that. So.
Interesting.
I
Oh,
wonder if that's something you turn on.
do you see one FD2 on the right? Like in this section? Because for me, this means autopilot
no.
1 is on. No? Okay, so that would explain.
No.
So your flight director, I'm guessing this light is probably not on either, then the FD button.
Where is my flight director? Now, there it is. Flight director's on.
Okay, so
it
that's
wasn't on.
Interesting. Okay, so one thing learned is taking control in the middle of something really, really confuses the aircraft.
Yeah.
I don't know what this Toga LK flashing thing is. I mean, I know what Toga is. I'm not sure what LK is about. We're not in the right detent. See on the throttles, it's got Toga, Flex, and then Climb, like CL. CL is where we should be.
My throttle is in a different position than yours right now.
Yeah. I wonder if that's...
What do you want me to be in?
It should be on the CL
Okay. I'm going back to that.
thing. It makes a little clicking sound. It still doesn't seem to actually... This flashing thing is wrong.
My warnings went away.
Yeah, I don't have any warning. It's doing... Oh, it's not flashing Toga anymore?
No, it's throttle idle, actually, is what it is.
Oh, that's not right either. It should say lever climb, usually, or something like that, or thrust climb, like CLB, maybe?
Yeah, I'm in the CL position.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It
2
seems to
clicks.
be doing the right things.
Right.
Because you can actually see on the upper ECAM, Toga power is 98.6 or 98.5. We're actually currently at like 94.7.
Yes, correct. That's right.
So it's doing the right thing. I think the display is just out of whack.
And we're on nav mode. Yeah, I was missing flight director. That's what mine was missing.
Yeah, okay. That's
We're climbing
interesting.
I still have 10,000, but obviously we're climbing to like
Yeah, it
3,600,
should be 36,000. If you change it, you have to roll it up really quickly so it doesn't kick us out of it. Because I think if you change it now, it's going to change it on my side too. Which you can do. Go ahead.
I will keep it.
Okay.
Just because I don't want to screw it up. Since you have control, I'll let it handle it.
Yeah, I'll have to read into what this control thing actually does. If it's just like the flight stick controls or what. We can also try this next time in a stock airplane where there's probably going to be a few less issues.
Yeah.
But we're
The
technically...
installation did have the stuff for TBM, so I'm curious on that one.
Yeah.
Because, you know, obviously I know you're familiar with TBM too, but that's obviously what I'm more familiar with. But
Yeah, the TBM should be pretty...
I will say, we got up the ground, and you saved it for me.
I honestly wasn't quite sure if it would. I just kind of tried to slow down that weird-ass sway. And we are actually on course now. We've done like a really weird loop, but we're heading on track now. I guess we can take the seatbelt signs off. Seatbelt lights.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm looking outside. We are flying between a storm, basically, so it looks like. The plane sounds very cool.
does, right? Uh-oh.
Yeah. Whoever.
So that's not a
whoever
good
did
sound.
this- What?
That when you, did you just hear those 3 clicks? Like
No.
clicking sounds? Maybe that was just me.
Uh-uh.
That's the autopilot disengaging. Oh, I know why that is. Okay, never mind. That was actually me. I have a button double bound. my external camera button also disables the autopilot. I gotta fix that on this. So that's no good. I've just re-engaged it, so we're all good.
So I know autopilot's obviously the top bars. I'm gonna figure out what. Is it AP1 or AP2? Is that autopilot?
Yeah, there's 2 of them. I don't know exactly why. I guess it's in case one fails, maybe. But yeah, AP1 is on.
I see mine is not on, which is probably good because if mine was on, or if I'm not going to touch it obviously, because if I touch it, it's probably going to sit us down to 10,000 feet.
Yeah, yes, it would.
So,
That
yeah,
actually might explain why you're assessed throttle or thrust idle, because if yours says 10,000, it would want to go to 10,000, which it would do by putting thrust idle. Right? Like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I will do some more research into maybe some known issues on this one, or things not to do, or how to do them, because we just kind of went for it.
Yeah. It's pretty good so far.
Yeah, it's actually not bad, because theoretically, first of all, the taxiing is a lot easier when you have 2 people. When I can literally just look at the chart and say take next right. That's kind of nice. And I could see this being really useful for like doing proper ATC, proper VATSIM ATC, because just having 2 ears and honestly, the first time I did a VATSIM departure, you know, as soon as you take off, like 5 seconds after you leave the ground, they tell you to switch frequencies. And, you know, I'm just trying to get the airplane off the ground and, like, aligned and everything. So it'd certainly be a lot easier if, you know, like you were doing the takeoff. I can just switch the radio frequencies and do that part.
What did I lose here? I just lost my... something clicked.
That was me changing my navigation display mode.
Yeah. So the gimbal right there in the middle section. Oh wait, it's decreasing it. Indicated altitude bugs. Oh, I gotta turn up the brightness.
I just turned the seatbelt signs off. I'm vaguely confident that we're about to overspeed.
Yes.
Yes? No?
It's thinking about it.
It is, right? It's right on the red. Actually, that shouldn't be red there, because at cruise we should be flying at... No, we are actually speeding. Yeah. So I wonder if it's just being weird. I'm just going to dial back the speed on the... Oh, you can always just hit the master caution button to make that sound stop.
Yeah.
There's something weird. We shouldn't actually be going this fast. I don't think... Like, we're flying level. Do you have a speed set for the Mach setting by a chance, or no?
I wouldn't know where to check that.
Same display where you have the altitude, just on the very left.
Mine's 3 dashes.
Okay. It's just, it's not, it keeps switching to... Can you switch yours? So what you want to do is just use the dial below it and change the selected airspeed to like 0.7, like Mach 0.7.
070.
Yeah.
Okay. It has changed.
Okay.
Do I engage it?
No, as soon as you see that, it is engaged.
Okay.
It's just not doing it. It actually shows up, like it shows me on mine, it shows me the indicator on the speed tape, but it's not slowing down for it. I'm just gonna manually slow down. I'm gonna disengage the auto throttle.
I heard the engine's just kind of cut there.
Yeah, because I turned off the auto throttle.
So, I wish you could see my screen right now. We're hitting turbulence.
Yeah, it's a little bumpy here.
I'm looking in the outside view, and it looks like our wings are like a bird flapping its wings, but just very slightly. It's like the plane's doing a wiggle dance.
Okay, so we've started to slow down now. What happens if I engage the auto throttle again? Oh, there we go. That fixed the toga thing. Now it's at Mach instead of toga for me. I'm going to set the speed mode to managed again. Set the lever back to climb because it's telling me to do that now. Okay, on my end, it's now happy. Along the top, it says Mach, altitude cruise, nav. All in green. Like on the PFD. So I just had to actually turn the auto throttle off for a second and turn it back on. That was the fix. It's like with everything else. You turn it off and on again.
Yeah, my Mach is still on.
What you can do is when you hover over that, and it's difficult with this bit of turbulence, but there's an option that says engage manage speed mode to press it. And that should get you back to 3 dashes. Okay.
Yep.
See, that's a little bit, that's too bad that doesn't seem to transfer over, because that's one of the most important functions actually of multitasking, is you typically have one person flying, especially on takeoff, just hand flying, and the other one is just, you know, setting the autopilot, which I guess fair enough. We could split it up, you know, whoever's doing the radio, the other person does the autopilot, because that should be, the radio literally should not really require much changes. Like there is a specific page on the lower FM's ECAM called Cruise that I like to have this at. So some basic stats, but yes, okay. So everything is looking nice now. The overhead is completely dark except for the battery voltages. There should be no lights on of any sort. And it's actually, yeah, it's actually kind of nice and a little bumpy, but.
So that's the temperature in the cockpit cabin.
Those 3 dials? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's those, I looked into this, the packs, pack 1 and 2, that's essentially the air conditioning, I guess. Which is on by default, because, you know, as it should be, but apparently sometimes if they have to do like a really short runway takeoff, they'll actually turn off the air conditioning packs for the takeoff, because it does cost you a little bit of power in the engines having the packs on, which makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Let's see. There's not much around there.
Oh, oxygen. What happens if I press this?
I don't know. There is rain repellent. You can turn that on for the windshield. It doesn't do anything. It's got windshield wipers. I think they do actually move. I don't know what happens if you turn those on in mid-flight. Are they separate? Oh, I don't know. I don't think they work while you're flying. They're probably locked to the ground only.
That would make sense.
Just turn it on, it just goes, flies right off the
Flying
aircraft.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's only seems to be a few items that are not transferring over. And you said they're getting ready to drop a 3.0?
Yeah. So the ones that we've noticed...
That's a pretty
what did we
big jump.
notice? We noticed the flaps, right? Parking brake, flaps, speed brakes. Those don't seem to match up.
Right.
Throttle in itself is a bit of a nightmare.
Altitude seems to sync up, but
Yeah.
then loses sync, and you're, at this point it's worrisome to touch it.
Yeah. This is kind of like where you don't want to touch it.
Flight director buttons didn't sync.
And that might... So mine were on as soon as I started the aircraft. I don't know if that's a setting, maybe, somewhere that I have. That, similar to how your ADRs took 7 minutes, mine took 2. I don't... Or maybe it just remembers it because I had them on last time. Like, I'm not entirely sure. I didn't turn them on. They were just on. So that's possibly a setup thing. You haven't even looked on the iPad on the left.
Mine
There.
is off.
Yeah. So is mine. Try turning it on. You just click the screen. Okay, it's coming on.
Is this thing getting Netflix?
Yeah, no. But that would be nice. It doesn't actually do a whole lot. The one thing it does do that's nice is it gives you the METAR for your destination and your departure, like right there, the weather forecast.
Yeah.
Which is cool, because one of the things you do before landing here is you punch it into the computer, basically, the temperature and the altimeter and all that stuff, and it calculates your approach speeds, and then, the auto throttle does basically all of that. Like, the auto throttle in this airplane is amazing.
I like where it has the from sim brief and stuff.
Yes.
Link MCDU.
So the link MCDU button still doesn't work, but I suspect what it's going to do, instead of... I pushed some buttons on the MCDU to load the flight plan. I think the idea is that you'll just be able to do it from the iPad, because it's much quicker and more intuitive. Same with like the weights and the fuel and all that stuff. Like, there's a couple of the pages, it's kind of grayed out. So it's stuff that I think they have, but they haven't opened it up yet. Actually, what I really want to fly with 2 people is whenever they make the Airbus 380. Because it's like this, but bigger, with 4 engines.
Yeah.
Like that would be fun to fly with 2 people and ATC and all that stuff.
Oh, you don't have an iPad on your side?
No. I've got the frickin' holder for it, but no iPad. Let's see. I wonder how far along we actually are on our flight here. Oh, we've barely just begun.
Yeah, how long is the flight total?
Well, we should be able to tell. Well, so our next waypoint is Booth, which is 220 nautical miles, and you can see in the navigation display underneath it, it says 209. That is not helpful. That's supposed to be Zulu or UTC time, but that's not. I don't think we're actually on live time anymore. 7:39. Oh, pretty close. Okay, so the in-game time right now is 1:39 UTC, which, oh yeah, I guess that's actually on this clock. What just changed? Oh, you just changed the range, I think, or the mode.
Yeah, on mine.
Okay.
I changed my mode on mine.
So current time is 1:39 UTC, so it's basically 30 minutes till the next waypoint. And that's the last waypoint before our arrival. So, how does the throttle work on the Xbox controller?
Just A increases, B decreases.
Oh, okay.
Y is your brake.
So you just tap it,
except
like where you
for-
hold it until it moves forward and then you pull it back, kind of thing?
Yeah, so there's holding and then there's tapping, and even like in the TBM, it's very interesting because a hold for 2 seconds you think was like, okay, that'll increase me, you know, a couple percent, which it does. So for, you know, hold for 2 seconds is 2%, hold for 4 seconds is 90%. It's like,
Wow.
it escalates like extreme, and the B is even worse because when you're just trying to say take me to 0, it's blow through 0 into into beta or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, you're doing full reverse at that. It's like crazy. So
Well, the good thing, I think, in this aircraft, to go into reverse, you probably have to actually push a button or something. It's not like the TBM where it just goes seamlessly through. Well, even that one's... I don't know. Have you thought about getting like one of those joysticks that's got a little throttle built in?
I haven't. I mean, my last thing was actually buying my wheel. So it was like,
Oh, yeah, okay.
you know.
Wait, which
and,
wheel did you get?
I got the Logitech. Which one is it? The 3.
Like they're...
I forget which one it is. The one with the True Force in it.
Okay, yeah.
329 or
There's a G29 and then there's like a 430 or something like that? I don't know.
let me look it up. Okay, I mean, their G29 is like the PlayStation version, right? And then like they have a, instead of 29, it's like an entirely different number for the 360.
Yeah.
And then they have a universe, like then they have one where it's the same model, but you can pick PlayStation or Xbox, but that's really just the buttons that are on it.
Right.
Because it actually works for everything. I forget what the name of it is. I probably researched it and looked it up 1,000 times. G923.
923, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, that is a
The
weird choice.
920 Yeah, the 920 was the Xbox. The 29 is PlayStation. But the 923 is the latest of that model.
Right.
If you already had one, they're like, okay, don't get this one because it's very little of increase, but I never had one.
Mm-hmm.
I got it cheaper from what it says online. But, you know, dreams are always there of having like a Fanatec, you know, Fantech or whatever.
Yeah.
Is it Fanatec or Fantech?
I think they actually, yeah, I bought one of those. I think they just pronounce themselves Fanatic, like as if it's
Fanatic.
yeah, but
Fanatic.
it's, you know, spelled different.
Right, yeah. So like, but they have that direct drive, and they got that
Yeah.
newer one coming out, which is supposed to be like extremely, I don't want to say cheap compared to the $1,000 ones that they had, but
You mean the new direct drive, the CSL, I think, is their line?
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought a Fanatic wheel, the F1 CSL bundle, whatever, it comes with pedals and a bass, but it's not a direct drive bass, you know, it's just like a regular bass. But it's nice because all of theirs are compatible, so, you know, in the future, I guess I could get a direct drive bass and use the same wheel still.
You get the CSL Elite. That's the one you end up getting.
I think so.
Yeah, like, I mean, and they're obviously some of the, like, one of the top brands. Like, if you see them anywhere, like, they're not.
It's the, I
even
got
their
this.
CSL.
Yeah, the CSL Elite F1 set. officially
Right.
licensed for
Yeah.
PS4, but again, it works on PC and it just has buttons. Yeah, that's the one I got.
And I mean, even that one right there, like, there's entry level, and I guess they would consider that their entry
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
But that's really still not even true entry level. Like,
No.
I have entry level. So
There's like a whole, I don't think Fanatec has anything entry level. They're just
Yeah.
not.
yeah,
But the
they're enthusiasts.
yeah,
The enthusiast
yeah, exactly. The Thrustmaster Airbus flight stick, I got one of those just to fly this thing. It's good. It's hard to find. It's always out of stock. But
Yeah.
it's got a nifty little, throttle on it. But yeah, because using buttons must be difficult. Then
You
again,
should
on
you should
some
check out
planes,
that-
you can
that-
kind of just turn it up to 80% and leave it, right? Like on the TBM, once you find a sweet spot, you probably just don't touch the throttle for a long time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, usually my controller is basically, okay, let me pick this up to take off and let me pick this up to land.
Yeah, that's true.
Other than that, it's. I mean, I'm hitting my keyboard and using my mouse, but
Mhm.
Autopilot is my friend.
Well, and with this one, honestly, the next time that we would touch the throttle is when we are about to flare and we go full idle and then reverse. But the challenge is getting it to lock into one of these detents. But once it's in there, in that climb detent, you never touch it. So it's probably doable actually with the controller just to get it in there. It would take a little bit of practice, but it definitely didn't seem to move when you did it. But that's something we could try sometime, just on the ground, and check which things actually do and don't sync properly.
Yeah, when you get a chance as far as racing, you should look at that guy it's on Boosted Media. I think I pasted
Yeah.
it's like a $10,000 or $100,000, some crazy. And I mean, the brands that he rattles off is insane. Like,
Oh,
these
yeah.
are brands where the pedals are a couple $1,000s just for the pedals.
Yeah, and you buy like the clutch separately because it's got,
Yeah.
it's got its own hydraulics and shit like that.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, like, I was kind of, I never really watched him or kind of followed up. Like, I was curious if he used to drive,
Mhm.
because if he's just straight sim and he's doing what he's doing just based on sim, I was like, man, that's crazy. Like, insane
Yeah.
level of love for it, I guess. But yeah, actually, he just has a new video today for a BenQ projector, and it looks like he's doing flight sim on it.
Ooh, on a projector.
4K HDR gaming projector, world's fastest.
Interesting.
From BenQ, which is obviously a known model,
Yeah.
known brand for monitors and stuff. So.
That is pretty intriguing. I wonder. Let's see. Yeah.
That new Thrustmaster F1 Ferrari wheel.
Yeah.
Looks pretty interesting as well.
The only
It
reason
doesn't
I
seem
didn't get that is because I don't think it was coming to North America until the fall or something, and I didn't feel like waiting. I was being impatient.
And I'm definitely picking up 2021. I've been kind of laying off it because I know I'm going to put time into 2021. So I've been playing some Assetto Corsa.
Oh yeah, yep.
And that game's like, F1 is a arcade game compared to that thing.
Yeah. Which I understand, Assetto Corsa has really good VR, and I haven't heard, but I do feel like F1 is not going to have native VR support, because I feel like we would have heard about it by now. It would have been a feature, and so it doesn't look like that's coming, which is weird because it's the same publisher, I think. Like, I don't know. It's weird because I did enjoy it in VR, but
I mean, Codemasters for
Wait.
F1.
yes.
They're
Sorry,
owned by
Codemaster does.
EA now.
Yeah, and Codemaster does Grid, right? The Grid series, I think. And that has really good
so.
VR, too. So it's not like they can't. It's not like they don't know how to do VR. They just... But it's probably because you're right, because they probably target the F1 stuff at, you know, the little bit less than as serious crowd. So they're probably thinking there's no point in making this VR, because anyone with VR is going to be playing Assetto Corsa or something anyway.
Yeah, I really do enjoy the F1. I mean, those games I think do a very good job. It's like making you feel the speed. But I'm really like I'm really excited like for doing some online racing. Like, you know, even if it's not like a ranked online racing, but you said you had a couple people interested. It'd be fun just to hop in Discord and race each other and do that stuff because.
I wonder if
sometimes accidents happen. I've been pretty. I've raced a couple with the wheel, which made me a lot better in close or tight, areas around other cars. But some people still, whoops, I forgot to turn there, and they're just like off into the grass and gravel. So
yeah.
It's like, geez.
I wonder if the other thing with this YourControls, I wonder if the person who has the host typically has better success with the control of flying. Don't know.
It could be. I mean, even the upstream, it's like 0.03. Downstream is 9.
Yeah, so for me it's the opposite. So it means I'm sending a lot more to you, which is, it must work off of a host client system where it must be sharing my data to you. So I wonder if in that sense, maybe this is why when I took control, shit went so weirdly sideways, because it didn't really have all the info that you had. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know exactly what happened there.
Me either. I mean, it might. I don't remember. Like, the plane to me didn't like turn upside down. It was like straight up, then upside down.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't a gradual like, oh, what's going on? It was like, oh, we've switched over. Okay, you're actually, upside down.
Yeah.
So that's why it feels like the data got out of sync somehow. And as soon as it stopped looking at yours, it looked at my local data and was like, yeah, nope, you're upside down now. So good luck. We are actually getting close-ish to that. I mean, I have time to pull off this landing. I don't know about you. You're 3 hours ahead of me.
I mean, what's it going to be like? I mean, how many minutes are we away?
What are we looking at? Probably another half hour. So we're 17 minutes from the next waypoint. And then that's our approach. Sorry, our arrival.
Yeah, I'm good for a half hour.
Cool.
I don't really fall asleep until about 11:30 anyways.
Okay. So we're gonna...
lets me sleep in.
We're gonna land runway 08 left, which is the opposite direction. So we're gonna fly over downtown Vancouver and loop out over the ocean. And it's actually a really pretty approach. I'm trying to get altitudes. I think Lanny is our only... Okay, so that's actually... Oh, see, if you look at the MCDU, it says in orange, enter dest data. Like, it's actually telling, it's reminding us, like, hey, you should probably enter your destination data. So I'm going to do that. We're going to see what happens. This is the other place where shit can go sideways in this stupid sim.
Did you say ILS 8?
ILS 8 left, Canucks 5. And Now our next point is VTEF, which is... I mean, that is one of the waypoints, but why are we turning... Okay, I think we're starting to turn to the left. Still feels like we're... Have I not executed it? I have. Oh no. ILS 8 left. Canuck 5. Apparently there is no via.
Nope, there we... I think we're turning now. The line went from yellow to green, I was thinking.
Oh,
that.
did it? Okay. That is, I mean, that is correct.
We should be turning in a second.
Yeah, we're not on course right now. We should be turning. I mean, so the other thing I could do is I can go and say, we'll do a direct to VTEF.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay. Yeah. See, it didn't. And this is honestly so much of this. These problems are in the stock Autopilot, and so they build things on top with JavaScript and stuff. But until they replace the Autopilot properly in the stock sim, it's not gonna solve all this. And I mean, you fly the TBM a lot, so you know that stuff really goes sideways in there a lot. If you touch things anyways, like if you don't change the flight plan, it's usually okay, but if you try to like load an approach mid-flight, bad things tend to happen. Enter destination data. I'm just trying to...
Hockey game is interesting.
Which one?
Lightning Islanders.
Oh, what's the score?
Lightning are trying to seal the deal. It's a tie going into OT.
Are you a fan of either of them?
So I've been following hockey since like early 90s when I was younger. Actually NHL like 94 or 93 or whatever got me into hockey, and I was a Blackhawks fan forever.
Right.
And of course Columbus got their team, and so I'm a Blue Jackets fan, but I love hockey. Like, I really like hockey, so I just love the playoffs in general. And definitely when you're, you know, you kind of follow a team that didn't make the playoffs this year, like, I just like kind of, I'm open to anybody. I think it'd be neat for the Islanders and Canadians, I guess, Montreal. I think it'd be neat for those two to be in the finals, to be honest. Because Tampa Bay obviously won it last year, and, you know, Vegas, I think Vegas should have to be in the league for at least 10 years before they get another chance. But that's just me, because I don't like the new expansion. Because when Columbus was an expansion, we didn't get to pick a bunch of people from every team. I mean,
know
their leading goal scorer and like top player of Vegas's first year when they made it to the finals was from Columbus. Like, we lost him.
Yeah.
Oh man, I was frustrated about that. Like, you get to mark your players as safe, and then this team gets to pick any player from any team that's not marked safe. I did not like that at all.
No, I think that's pretty unanimous feeling that wasn't really, like, Vegas had some pretty big advantages over previous expansion teams.
Yeah. I mean, and Columbus was like, it's just, you know, we had an entry draft, you know, and I forget. I mean, I don't remember. It's been over 20 years, but
yeah, and I mean, I guess they wanted to make sure that they didn't struggle as much as like Columbus did initially, but I feel like they went a little overboard.
Yeah. But so, no, I think Islanders Canadians would be fun to watch. I think that would be neat. But I'm open to anybody, really.
Is that what this does? Ooh, what the hell? No, I just switched cameras. Oh, okay, I see. Every time that I have to type in my username for SimBrief in the iPad there, when I hit the letter K, the camera moves, and I was like, why is it doing that? But it turns out that K seems to be a default, like, next camera button. And somehow the strobe lights got turned off, so I just turned them back on. I don't know what the deal was with that. So the one thing that you see above your range and mode buttons, there's like 5 small buttons. If you hit the CSTR button, the constraint button, it will put altitude constraints into the nav map. Now you don't see them yet because we're not close enough, but if you make the range larger to like 160 nautical miles, you won't be able to read it well, but you'll see the purple text on some of them.
Yeah.
So that's like at the Lanai waypoint, we have to be at below 12,000 or flight level 120. So I'm just trying to do some mental math. What's the rule of thumb that I use? 30 nautical miles for 10,000 feet. We are currently 66 from VTEF, then there's 8, and then there's 14, so that's 22, so we're 88. So if we want to be 60, so that's 22 plus 8, 30, 38. I think when we're at 38 nautical miles is when I want to start descending.
The 12,000?
Yeah. There is actually a way that I've discovered that inside of, do you ever use SimBrief?
Just very, not like extensively, but yeah, like, I mean, to kind of plan out a few things.
Yeah, so, it gives you like 25 damn pages of flight plan stuff that I never look at. Well, somewhere in the midst of all that stuff, it actually has the latitude and longitude coordinates for your top of descent. And I really wish that there was an easier way to put this in here, but there is a way in here to like put in the top of descent and mark it with like a range circle on the nav display so that you get some idea of when you need to do that. I think for now we're just going to eyeball it for this one. It's funny, I'm not used to having to use those knobs there. I'm used to just using the ones on my panel, but they control the pilot side.
Oh, we can switch
buttons.
if you want to switch.
No. I'm over here. I'm actually enjoying this. I never get to sit on this side of the plane. I feel like a passenger.
Oh, look at the mountains.
Yeah. Yeah, you missed the Canadian Rockies. We passed those. Those were all covered by clouds, but these are like the Canadian Coast Mountains or whatever. Something like that. So we will go on direct VTEF.
See, the weather's nicer over here.
Oh man, it's we're in the midst of our heat wave, early summer heat wave, which for us is not crazy hot, but I don't even know what it is in Fahrenheit. But we're getting up to 38 Celsius this weekend, and I'm not looking forward to it.
I guess Kucherov from Tampa Bay.
That's
got
100.
injured.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, 100. Ugh.
Yeah. No, that's extreme. Like, it is going to cause there's going to be like a public health warning. Stay indoors. Because we're not, so many people here don't have air conditioners because it's not usually that hot. So when it does get super hot, people are really screwed for the most part.
So the last couple, like in Ohio, during the summer, it can range. Let's see, it ranges from like 26C to 36C. You know, but the humidity, it's even when it's like on the lower end of that, the humidity is like at 100%. So it's just miserable. But the last couple of days, it's been 21 to 23.
That's nice.
It's been a nice breeze. Like our windows have been open in my house, and you know, at night we sleep and there's a breeze coming through. It's just so nice, but it's going to start warming up a little bit here too. But
yeah, that's the kind of I like that kind of temperature.
Our warm time is, you know, late June, July, August is usually our warmest times of the year.
So you should notice that we are starting to descend. So I don't know what it says on your PFD, but mine says now thrust idle, open descent, and then until alt. So the light blue alt, that means that like that's armed, like it's gonna do the open descent until it reaches that altitude. And I feel like we'll probably get there a little bit too soon because it also slows us down a bit, but I don't know if there is a better way to descend other than this open descent. I'm not sure. Because it doesn't have VNAV, or at least it's not implemented like proper. It should probably have that. I think the airplane does have that, but I think they're working on it. Certainly
there's a vertical, your vertical speed, but
yeah, at the very least they will have advisory VNAV, where it basically tells you when you should descend and by how much. But I think this airplane, the Autopilot, does actually have VPath, which it's like what the CJ4 does, where you just hit a button and it gets you to the altitude constraint. It figures out when it needs to descend and what angle. You know, it just does it for you.
The amount of stuff, like I still completely amazed by the amount of stuff that is in a plane.
Yeah.
Overtime has started. I mean, this is a trip to the finals of Tampa Bay wins tonight.
I would love to see the.
Wow, it's over.
That was quick.
Well, that was nasty. Tampa Bay was in their zone and kind of coughed it up right to a player, right to an Islander, and he just drilled it top shelf.
Ooh, so the Islanders won. So what's the series at?
It's 3-3 now. It's going to game 7.
I enjoy that because I don't I'm not a fan of either team. So even though I would kind of like to see New York and Montreal in the final.
Right.
It will piss off my Toronto friends so much because they hate Montreal to begin with, and what was it? Lou Amarillo went from Toronto to the Islanders, and some other players went there too. Okay, I'm starting to.
It's fun. You know, our captain Nick Foligno, they traded him to Toronto, and
right.
Josh Anderson, was one of my favorite people on our team, he got traded up to the Canadians.
Mm-hmm.
So it's there's jackets just everywhere. Colorado had 4 former jackets on it. It's all these times we've had these players and they're good. It's just they've always tried to trade for a veteran or experience, but then it's 2 more years later, these guys are playing so much that they have all the experience now, and it's just darn it, And,
yeah.
Man, that guy drilled that. Oh, he stole it. He stole the pass. Wow. Yeah, you're gonna want to watch that last play.
Things are looking good. We should be at 21,000 feet at the next waypoint, and we're gonna be there just a little early, but
So the far right bar on the PFD, like the green line that's pointing, what is that line there? Is that our angle of descent?
that's
22 degrees?
yes. That's hundreds of feet per minute, so 2,000, 2,200 right now.
Oh, okay. So
It's the same as if you did the vertical speed in the TBM. It's just that
right.
we're not telling it to. I don't know what it uses for a calculation. I think it uses, like, when I do an open descent to that, it probably just follows a certain slope, degree slope, like 3 degrees probably, to get down to that. There is, what's really cool, there's an expedite button, because sometimes you'll get, you've probably heard it from the in-game ATC, where it's like expedite your climb or your descent,
Right.
and you can actually push that, and I think all it does at that point is it just increases the, you know, the angle of descent to make it a little bit more severe, so you get down faster. I've never had to use it so far. I might want to use it now, because I don't think we're going to hit 12,000 by the next waypoint. Well, 10 nautical miles away. That will be close enough. It's 12. Oh, we have Mills is still 12,000 as well, so we actually have room. If we missed the Lanny restraint, the constraint, we'll still hit the Mills one.
Oh yeah, we'll hit it next.
So we're actually coming up on where I live now. We're pretty much
Yeah.
going to be flying over my house.
I was gonna say, that's why I just asked, like, can we see your house from here?
Not quite from this altitude, but you, like, if you look straight ahead, you see where it looks like there's 3 rivers that meet, and there's a small island in the middle.
Yes.
I live, if you were to draw like a 90-degree line to the right somewhere, and then it hits another bit of water there, I live somewhere around that area, very roughly speaking. The Costco we go to is very near that island there.
Gotcha.
Okay, so STD
Yeah, like-
is flashing, so we can now switch to local altimeter, which is actually just the
Yes.
same.
It's 29.9.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you would fly over my house, or where my house would be, is that it would just be a grass dirt pile, because our house is not in any of the pictures yet.
Oh, really? It's too new?
Yeah, December. We moved in December.
Ah.
Finished building.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, we are actually flying pretty much right over our house. Interesting. That's cool. Looks about as hot out there as it does out of my window at the moment. So, so the airport is at our, I want to say, like, well, you kind of see it on the map. It's actually directly at 12 o'clock. You can see the lights, or at least I can see the lights right now. It's
Yeah,
right
I
near
see
the
'em.
coast, but we're going to fly this hook around. So,
I was gonna say, those lights aren't lining up with us.
nope. Are we at 12,000 yet? No,
Well-
we're still going. Okay.
off to the right.
Yeah, so
See,
we're
it's a lot brighter there than it is where I'm at right now.
so we'll fly out over the Pacific Ocean there a little bit, and then we swing back around. I'm really afraid of switching control back, otherwise I would make you land this, but I don't know what will happen.
We would just ruin the entire flight at the end if we did that.
I think
with
the
this plane.
I think the safest experience to do this with is one person has flight controls and the other person does other things, but you don't switch the flight controls back and forth. At least not in this aircraft. Because aside from that, like, you can hit buttons, and I'll probably get you to hit some buttons and stuff, but, you know, that seems to work fine. Or worst case scenario, it doesn't work, but it doesn't make you fall out of the sky.
Yeah, it's like, as of right now, you are... You have to decide who's flying the plane before you take off.
Yeah, basically.
So we're over your house, basically, right now.
I'm looking out of the window.
Well, we passed.
We passed it a little bit. Yeah, down there is where my girlfriend went to university, on top of the hill that's all surrounded by trees, like on our right side. It's all green stuff, and there's like a sports field, you can tell. You can see.
Oh, nice.
Are we descending? Yes.
Is it the University of Vancouver?
No, that's the Simon Fraser University. There is no University of Vancouver. There's Simon Fraser University, and then there's University of British Columbia, which is, you know, like of the province. Okay, so I've set altitude for 5,000, which gets us to that waypoint. We are descending. We're not descending. We are descending.
Oh man, I think I really want to go to Vancouver. I'm a huge mountain guy.
Oh
like,
yeah.
I love mountains.
Yeah, to the right. If you look to the right, there's lots of great stuff.
I did not realize it was like this here.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So
That's why I love going to like Washington and Oregon. I just loved.
The one thing this plane always does is when you get to 10,000 feet, it levels us out to slow down to 250 automatically. And now it's descending again. But that's one thing to keep in mind, because you lose a little bit of your descent because it's got to slow down to the speed limit. So I'll set us to 3,000, which gets us all the way to our final approach fix. I have no idea if we're going to be able to do the ILS, hopefully.
You know, flying this and seeing these controls and stuff seems to be so much. I mean, I like the little graphical thing of the TBM, but I prefer this.
Yeah, I used to think that, man, this looks so much more outdated than the graphics, but the more you use it, it's very utilitarian. Like, it's not flashy, but
it's straight to the point.
Yeah. You know, I was like, oh man, it doesn't give me the nice, 3D synthetic vision, and you don't get the terrain on the map, on the navigation displays. But, like, do you need it though? Like at 30,000, you don't, right?
Yeah, you don't. You'll know the terrain when you're coming up to it, and
right.
It's usually not a good sign.
Yeah. So what do we need here?
I'm hearing a loud tone. Is that?
You are? I don't.
Yeah. Okay. I hit master alarm. It wasn't lit up, but it stopped it.
Huh. I wonder what it doesn't like on your end, and when that will happen on my end. Landing data is confirmed. Minimums are set. Landing lights. Oh, we should turn. Can you turn the landing lights on?
Beacon, wing, strobe, land.
And also, yeah, that's good. And also the seatbelt lights should go on. I will go flaps 1. Oh, now we're over speed. Oops, sorry. My bad.
Where's that?
The seatbelt sign is...
on?
It's just beside on the other side of the APU, bottom row.
I got it.
Is it on?
Actually,
Seatbelts?
Yeah, that's on mine. The landing lights are actually already on too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have that on.
210 knots. I'm going to manually set the speed to 210. Because there is a speed restriction there. Oh no, why? Why?
We're...
It's shortcutting us. Okay.
Something has occurred.
Alright, well, I've turned approach mode on. It's taken us right down to the runway. Well, we're committed now.
There's an airport across the water there.
Yeah, that's Vancouver
Straight to
Island.
total close.
There's a couple of... we're not going to make this. What is it doing?
Yeah, we're 5,000 feet. We're gonna have to be.
Okay, I'm going to switch to heading mode. This cannot stand.
Yeah, we should be at 3,000 or lower if we're coming across here.
I'm going to take us back onto the... Are we at... No, we're not at 3,000.
We're at 57.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw everything just kind of blank out.
Yeah, for some reason it skipped a couple of waypoints altogether. It was like, oh, we'll just go over here now. I don't know why it did that. Yeah, it's weird. It might not have been in the thing. Well, we'll figure it out. We'll fly our own little loop here over the water while we descend, and then we can always just come back. We do have glide slope and localizer armed, so if we don't stray too far from this stuff, we should be able to still get that. And we are at a nice speed. We were just way too early. Okay, now we're back down to descending, which is good. I'll just make us do these little S turns here. Someone in the back is wondering what the fuck is going on as they're looking out the window. It's like, what is wrong with this pilot? I don't like this at all.
Is there something wrong with the plane?
Yeah. So we were so close. We almost made it.
I do dig the delivery, though. Whoever made this is just brilliant.
I had a lot of fun with that one. I actually do want to do some for some of the other teams, but it takes a surprising amount of time because you have to do a lot of trial and error.
I mean, if you do want a choice on a team, I would like to nominate Red Bull.
Yeah, I think Red Bull would be one, and the McLaren stuff would probably look really nice, actually.
Yeah. Actually, I'll tell you, this year in F1, I really like Alpine and Aston Martin. I really like the colors of their car, like that nice blue and the dark green. When they showed their cars, I'm like, all right, those things are pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I really like those.
I'm going to
Yeah,
try to
McLaren
turn
orange
us
would be
around.
pretty cool.
Because we've reached
My
the
coworker,
altitude.
My coworker, his sister works for McLaren.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, they just sold... Did you hear they sold their building?
I did not hear that, no. I've got
Yeah, they
flaps
sold it,
on.
and then they're renting it back from the company. They sold it for like $6 billion or something crazy like that.
Wow. Okay, let's see. I switched back to managed mode. So now that we've gotten down to 3,000, I need to check the... Where do we get the glide slope? At 1,400.
Oh, that's way off. 236 million.
What? The altitude?
No, sorry.
The price.
Their headquarters. Yeah, they sold it to a New York company. It looks like.
Interesting. Okay, well, the nice thing about this approach is that you can be at whatever altitude you want to be because there's nothing in your way as we get to this runway. And see, now we get terrain because we're actually within range of where it might be a problem. So,
Oh yeah.
localizer is armed, glide slope is armed, approach mode is activated.
Hurry.
Oh, that's...
Yeah, I don't get trained on mine. That's interesting.
You don't? It's this button here.
I don't know what button you pressed.
It's just to the right of your nav display. Hello, Akil Cola. This is... No, we're doing a shared cockpit thing in Microsoft Flight Simulator using... It's called YourControls. It's interesting. We're not doing that much, actually. Okay, we've got localizer now. We're actually looking pretty good. We've got seatbelts. Okay, see how we've got like new things to do on the checklist now? Like on the, it says landing gear down, it's not yet. Spoilers armed.
Right.
You can, oh no, the spoilers arming doesn't work, did it? So I'll do that. Flaps, we'll get to it. You can press the cabin all button at the top if you want. We'll see if that works.
Cabin on. And flaps and the speed brake actually worked that time.
Oh yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're in position 2. So
Yep.
I'm assuming you
I just
changed
moved
that.
them to 2 while you were doing that button. Yeah.
Yeah, and the speed brake, which I had depressed down, is actually popped back up. At the
Okay.
top, which I
Okay.
think- I heard it. So it's almost maybe like some of the calls are getting lost.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't a matter of it not working, it just didn't quite work. See, this is what I mean, that we have to do nothing with the throttle. It's awesome.
Yeah.
My biggest challenge has always been to get an airplane to slow down properly for
Right.
an approach, so it doesn't look like I'm panicking at the end. And with this, like, we are, what, 8 miles out, and we are... I mean, we have flaps and gear to go, but that's it. And I wonder if we can auto-land on this airport. We might be able to. We'll find out.
Auto landing in this plane?
It does have auto-land, yeah. It will put
I mean,
you
I've
right down
taken
on the runway.
TBM. I'll say I've taken TBM all the way down to like almost touchdown.
Yeah.
You know, like when you're hitting the slope.
I mean, the autopilot will fly you right into the ground if you let it, so it's not like... okay, so Bexham is... That's where we should pick up the glide slope, that next waypoint. 2.5 miles.
Where's the glide slope indicator? Oh, I see the GS.
Yeah, this little
3.
X there. Oh, well, you mean on the end of the display?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the GS in the light blue. See that in front of the runway, jetting out into the water there is this piece of land.
Correct. Yep.
It's, we go out there every once in a while for walks. There's a path you can walk all the way out to the end. It's 9 kilometers there and back, so it's like 4.5 kilometers out into the ocean. And, you know, there's planes coming in over this all the time. So this approach we're flying is exactly what I've seen planes fly overhead.
Is that man-made or?
I think so.
Assuming.
Yeah, it looks like, yeah, definitely. I think it's actually because there's, okay, so now we got glide slope. Now we can go gear down, which always sounds like something is exploding, and I love
I
that.
thought something blew up.
Yeah. And flaps full. And we're all green on the ECAM.
Let's see if flaps. Yeah, flaps did change.
Our checklists are all complete, so I'm going to put those away. And to try to get myself situated for a landing from the
Right.
co-pilot seat from the right side.
Yeah.
One thing we haven't
Yeah,
done
'cause
yet,
this
actually I'm
line is-
surprised it doesn't show up. We need to set, can you set auto brake to low?
Is that the speed brake?
No, that's the button next to the ECAM
Oh, okay.
underneath the
Yes.
landing gear. Yeah.
Set
There we
auto
go.
brake low.
See, it says landing inhibited, and that is for some reason, I don't know why, that should go away. That's like that, meaning auto land is inhibited for some reason.
400.
If we do, oh, land, okay. See land on the PFD at the top? That's auto land. I'm going to leave this on.
300.
Okay.
I am going to flare. It will actually say flare at some point.
Minimum 200.
But I'm not touching anything at this point.
100. 50, 40, 30,
Now I'm flaring.
20. Retard.
Throttle to idle.
10, 5.
Nice. We're on the ground.
See, mine is
I've got engines in reverse.
Mine is a little different than what you're seeing. Like, mine is like we're crawling in speed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like I'm almost at the
I
end of the
hear
runway
right now your throttle is fighting mine for some reason. Like I can see that. I don't know why that is. I think it's because I have mine in reverse. I don't think the reverse stuff plays nicely. But I've got it slowed down now, so I can turn the autopilot off. Which I probably should have. That would have been one of those things where I would have set autopilot off and you would have pushed the button.
Right.
But that was
Yeah, mine
sweet.
weren't on, so.
Yeah. I love that. That
I
was a
did
cool
set
auto
my,
landing.
Yeah, I did set my throttle back to like
It
0.
It looks like what was happening for some reasons when I went into reverse, it kept switching. Like I could see it go from like reverse to full power to reverse to full power. Just on the display, I don't think the engines actually ever changed because it kept fighting itself. But there's probably something that's not quite lined up. We're totally taxiing the wrong way. There's no gates out here. We're just going to park next to that 777 or whatever that is. That's a giant airplane.
Yeah, it's not actually on my screen.
I was going to say, I was just going to say, it's probably not on your screen.
Yeah, actually our terrain, actually looks completely different again, because I think you have
Yes,
the pack.
I do.
Yeah.
That's why we couldn't take off here.
And I'm wondering if that might be why it was looking a little different on our screen. Like you were coming into a landing and I could see the speed, but when mine was landing, like the road and the runway looked kind of like very different.
That's a good point. That's probably what it was. See, I want to fly a giant 380, Airbus A380 when they come out with that. Okay. Can you try setting parking brake? See if that works now.
Okay. I've set it.
No, that still doesn't do anything.
And it's turned it back off.
Yeah, I just turned it twice.
Now it did.
Yeah, so that still didn't...
Flips over when you do it.
Yeah. How do you turn it off? With the mouse and the keyboard or some button?
Mouse.
Okay. That's what I was just doing. What else do we do at this point now?
I think my engines and stuff almost sound like...
Well, we just turn them off now. Clean up the flaps. And that's the end.
Yeah, mine just said stall.
There's definitely some weird situations.
The noise it was making was almost like I was still moving, which was interesting.
Interesting, yeah. Huh. Okay, well, that was enlightening. That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
I think if we figure out the do's and don'ts of that, because there's definitely some don'ts, then it works reasonably well. And I imagine it's just going to keep getting better. Like, this has been out for a long time. I first looked this up sometime last year, but I didn't bother playing it because I knew it was going to be super buggy and just not work so well. It's a bit better now. It's definitely usable.
Yeah. I'm gonna disconnect here.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna shut off the stream here.
Oh my gosh! I just had a fatal landing at a negative for 848 feet per minute at 87 knots.